Bring us to your poetry from inspiration sought. Come join us with your images, your verses, words and thought. From here we'll share your balladry with those who do not know it. This platform's here for you to show the world that you're the poet.
Welcome to episode 48 of You're the Poet, the poetry podcast featuring you. I'm host Matt Burgio, and I'm here with co-host Phil Burgio. Phil, welcome.
Happy to be part of this.
Here at You're the Poet, our purpose is to share our love of poetry with the world and invite you to do the same. I want to start by saying thank you to all of our listeners who have made You're the Poet possible. We hope you enjoy the podcast and the poetry that is shared here. Our featured guest for this episode of You're the Poet is Loris Loren, who is joining us from Northumberland, England. Loris, welcome to You're the Poet.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're glad you could join us, and we look forward to your contribution to the episode. To start things off, I'm going to turn it over to Phil to share a classic poem for the episode.
Okay, this poem is by an Englishman, John Frederick Freeman, born in 1880, died in 1929. He was an English poet and essayist prominent in the Georgian poetry movement. After an initial career in insurance, he dedicated himself fully to writing, inspired by his close friend, poet Walter de la Mare. Freeman's work is known for its reflection and exploration of nature and rural themes, often employing precise, serene imagery to evoke a sense of tranquility. His poetry offered a calm, aesthetic counterpoint to the rapid social changes of his time and influenced other Georgian poets, such as Edward Thomas, who share his appreciation for nature and a traditional form. I kind of like that idea about the nature and tradition in poetry, too. So I might be a Georgian poet. Anyway, here's his poem called Eyes. Eyes. A winter sky of pale blue and pale gold, bare trees, a wind that made the wood path cold, one slow-moving figure, gray and old. We met where the soft paths fall from the woods down to the village. As I came near, she stood and answered when I spoke, drawing the hood. Back from her face, I saw only her eyes, large and sad. I could not bear those eyes. They were like new graves. I could not bear her eyes. But what we said as each passed on is gone. We looked and spoke and passed like strangers on. I to the high wood, she towards the paling sun. And there, where the clear heavenly small pool lies, and the tallest beeches brush the bending skies, in pool and tree I saw again her eyes. John Frederick Freeman.
All right, thank you for sharing.
I kind of like that poem.
Yeah.
I have to read some more of his poems, too.
Yeah, I hadn't actually read anything by Freeman there and discovered him literally upon this podcast episode.
Yeah, me too.
It was quite interesting to see he'd started his career at 13, which is quite young. So he had plenty of years to get accomplished before becoming a poet. But I thought that was quite a nice poem there, quite melancholic and slightly haunting there as well.
Yeah, it is. We're fortunate he fought World War I, and we lost some good poets in World War I.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, glad he made it through.
Yeah, I like this one, and I'm one for eyes. Eyes are always one of the first things I noticed about a woman when I see them. And I like how this is just a fleeting moment that you're walking down the trail, coming opposite ways or whatever, and, he just notices her eyes, and maybe they say a quick hello or whatever, and he says, like, whatever they said as passing strangers is gone. And I just kind of like that, and he's kind of struck by her eyes and has that memory, and then goes on to compare it to some of the things that he sees in the pool and stuff.
Apparently, they kind of spooked her. Older lady, her eyes, they look sad and kind of made him uneasy. That's the feeling I get.
Yeah, I've read somewhere that they say the eyes are the window to the soul.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess when two eyes meet, it can be almost like two souls staring into each other. Yeah,
it's funny. We actually talk a little bit about that in episode 47 with Lynne Alison.
Mm-hmm. She's a great poet as well, Lynn.
She is. That episode's not out yet. It'll be out this Sunday.
I look forward to that.
It's a nice one. All right, well, from here, I'm going to share a poem for the episode. It's been a while since we did sonnets. I felt like early on we did quite a few sonnets on the show. So I'm coming back around to the sonnet. This is one that I wrote called Sonnet No. 9 For My Muse. Out there, out through the plated window glass, one sees the trees as joyfully they dance. A spell abounds, enthralls them in a trance, as wind, the frequent courier, makes pass. Out there you hear its whispers in the grass, its rush, its howl, its longing for romance. But what, you wonder, when it has the chance, does wind tell tree, or anyone, alas? This breeze from me sends out my love in song. It seeks you out wherever you may be, across the plains, on rivers or the sea, or on the highest peaks or flat plateaus, to share with you these loving verses long, that wakened life and all by which it blows. Matthew Burgio.
I really like that.
I got to try my hand at a sonnet. I don't think I've written a sonnet that I know of.
No, myself either, to be fair. I mean, that's just a really nice piece. I like the idea of the wind being the courier of love and how it just keeps stretching out from the window.
Thank you.
You're such a romantic, Matthew.
Yeah, I went through a kick there where I was studying sonnets, and especially like William Wordsworth and obviously Shakespeare and some of those. And so I was trying my hand at writing some different sonnets. This is the Italian sonnet version. But yeah, I enjoyed writing some sonnets, and I found that ladies sometimes tend to enjoy receiving a sonnet from time to time.
Oh, well, yes, of course. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like being serenaded?
Right.
Truth.
Yeah.
All right. Well, from here, we're going to turn it back over to Phil to share his poem for the episode.
Okay, this poem is called Esoteric. It's a acrostic. You're familiar with acrostics. And esoteric, the term means referring to knowledge as intended for or likely to be understood only by a small number of people with a specialized knowledge or interest. Well, I wrote this for our fellow poets. Esoteric, what makes us relate. Every poet has the gift. Some have flair and elan, others with deep emotions. Together, the poetic world is whole. Every style echoes and prized. Reflections of joy, grief, and love. Instill emotions in our soul. Concerns for humanity. Philip Burgio.
All right. Thank you.
I like writing acrostics.
It's really very good. And it reminds us that there are various voices in poetry that are just welcome and should be shared and celebrated.
Right. Like I said, this is for our guys. That's been our poetry community.
Absolutely.
I feel fortunate that we're meeting a lot of good people on this podcast.
I feel like the mainstream society doesn't appreciate poetry like it used to once. Like that poetry doesn't have a place in society like it once did. And it's been great doing this podcast and getting on Facebook and all the various groups to see that there is a whole poetry community out there. And it's been great getting to meet each other and talk to each other and even work with each other. I've done some collaborations and things. So that's been great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I didn't realize quite how widespread the poetry community was myself until joining a few of the groups online and things like Facebook and on Threads as well. It's very, very good place for writers and other creatives. It's almost like a home away from home for the creative soul. So
yeah, it really is. Yeah, when we started this podcast, we weren't sure about that because we were like, man, where are we going to find guests? Like, do we know a lot of poets? We want to have this platform for people to share their works because we know, like ourselves, or I know like me when I started it, I wanted to get some of my work out there, but I didn't want to just do a podcast by myself. I wanted to have a guest and allow others to do the same, to share their work.
Mm-hmm.
And it started off slow, but then it kind of really took off and it's been great.
Yeah, you normally find that. I think that it tends to snowball just as you start to maybe second guess yourself or start to think, am I in a wind tunnel here? And then you start to pick up one or two listeners, or then the clicks come and you start to feel like, oh, hang on, there is an audience for this. Yeah, there is a group or network here.
I was Matt's first guest and he introduced me as the co-host. It's like, what?
Yeah.
So I've been his co-host since.
No, it's honestly very good that you guys are doing things like this, and it helps poets just get out there and help them know that they're not alone, really, because especially for people like myself who are very nervy and just starting out in the world of poetry, really. I mean, I've been writing poetry for about 18 months.
Okay.
Well, that's one of the things we try to express to people, that you don't have to be a published or quote unquote professional poet to be on here, that we want this podcast to be open to anybody. I love having the amateur, like, hey, we just started out poets on here, because we've all been there. Like, I remember, I still consider myself a very amateur poet, and I want people to feel comfortable to be like, share your art with where you are. So it doesn't matter where you are in your poetic journey. This platform's here.
Absolutely. Comfort breeds confidence. So it's a big help for those with a small audience, small following, those that maybe don't feel so confident.
Right.
I mean, the first thing when James reached out to me and mentioned you guys, the first thing I done was drop in the Discord like, oh my God, I don't feel worthy enough to go on anything like this at all.
Like I said, it's some guys that's sitting around a table talking about poetry.
Absolutely. And it's so casual. Yeah.
Yeah, very casual.
Yeah, we've definitely had some very new poets. Well, James Bryant himself, when he started off, he'd been writing for less than a year. He had just started at the beginning of 2025 in his poetic adventure.
2024.
Yeah, thank you. And now he's got a Facebook group that's blowing up.
Yeah.
But he's written some great works. He's been a guest on a few times. I've enjoyed his friendship and his collaborations in poetry. And we even had I think it was episode 5 guest, Brett Eldridge. He had not written any poetry since high school, and he was inspired by our podcast. He had listened to the podcast and decided to write a short poem to his wife. And then I kind of encouraged him to come on, and he's like, I'm not a poet. I said, look, man, even if it's one poem, come share it. And he really appreciated the experience, and it's kind of got him writing again.
See, there you go. There's the positive fallout there, so evident for everyone to see. So,
yeah, it's been great.
One poem makes you a poet.
Oh, absolutely.
People ask me, what do I do? I says, I'm a poet. What? I'm a poet because I'm retired and I write poems and I just kind of chill.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No occupation.
All right. Well, from here, we want to move to our guest section of the episode. Loris, you're the poet. Show us what you've got.
Yeah, well, this first one is titled I'm Not a Pretty Face. This was written just casually off the bat, as the majority of my pieces that are published on social media. So I'll get right into it. I'm not a pretty face. I'm crooked teeth and patchy skin. I do not speak with grace. I speak profanity and sin. I'm not so well behaved. I'm uncouth and out the lines. I'm not so tough and brave. I get scared from time to time. I'm not the most consistent. I have good days, also bad. I don't always go the distance. I can be lazy and laid back. I know I'm not the brightest. I can stutter and forget. I'm not the blackest or the whitest. I'm as grey as you can get. Loris Loren.
All right. Thank you for sharing.
That was good. I liked it. Good flow. Flowed nice.
Definitely good rhythm and meter there. And I just love the last line that sums it up, that I'm as gray as you can get.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've bounced from sort of stereotype to stereotype and background to background, pillar to post throughout my life. Been quite a vagrant. So I think it summed it up quite well, just to say that I'm neither this or that. I'm just this blur in between.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of neat. You mentioned that just the other day on Facebook, you had this sort of introduction of yourself. And I thought that was sort of fitting, having you getting ready to come onto the podcast. So it gave me a chance to see what you were all about, your journey written out there on Facebook. So I thought that was neat.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought it was about the right time to post it. I mean, I've been working on 2 novels now for about 2 years. And that's where the poetry started originally, was I was hitting writer's block. And I was like, oh, right, what can I do to sort of break the writer's block? And I started penning these little poems and little bits of prose, and it just spiraled. And now I've probably written more poetry in the last 12 months than I have worked on the novels. So it's taken quite a forefront.
Yeah.
Hey, got another one for us.
Yeah, absolutely. This one is titled Curveball. It's a bit more free verse, less formed than the last one. And it is Curveball. I think it's ironic how life throws a curveball and you're just expected to take it in your stride. Kind of like you've been playing your whole life, right? Except you have. You've been stood at the side, waiting for your turn to bat. Except nobody told you how to act. So when that ball came calling, soaring towards you with such a pace, you just stood there with that look upon your face. You know which one. The I'm going for gold. The I'm going to run before I walk. I'm going to hit this with so much force that everyone will want to see who scored. But instead you watch it soar right past. Watch it hit the backboard. Watch as it whips right by you with a whoosh and straight into the glove of the umpire. Yeah, I find it ironic. Because as soon as you've stepped back and trained, learned to play the game and return with that bat raised, life swings its arm once more. And did that curveball come again? No. This time the ball was as fast as it was straight. Loris Loren.
All right. Thank you for sharing. I love that one. We love a good baseball poem in general.
Or cricket. What was it? Based on baseball or cricket?
I think it was more towards baseball. We have a softball here in the UK.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even think of cricket.
Oh, yeah.
I immediately thought baseball being here from the States.
Thinking baseball, and then...
Baseball was the initial thing for it.
Good. Like I said, we do love good baseball poems.
Yeah.
Actually, one of our episodes was sort of baseball themed on our front, where we did some reading of Casey at the Bat, and Phil had some poems that were baseball related. But I love how you use baseball as this analogy to life, and how, life throws you these curveballs. I thought that was great. Those things you wrote in there.
Have you seen the movie Field of Dreams?
I haven't, no.
James Earl Jones does a little soliloquy about baseball. It's worth listening just for that.
Oh, something I'll have to check out.
Yeah, it's probably on YouTube. James Earl Jones baseball.
Yeah, I'll give that a look, actually.
Yeah. And I definitely liked the ending that, like, it's coming at you again, and is it the curveball? And, like, nope, this time it was the fastball. It's straight in his back.
Fastball,
Yeah.
right.
Life mixing it up.
Right down Broadway, strike three,
Yeah.
right?
I just thought it's that irony of you can prepare for one outcome so badly because you've had this thinking it's going to be the same as you've had it already. And it's just like, nope, I'm going to pull the rug from under your feet yet again.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Great poem. I really like that poem.
Thank you.
Yeah, well done on that. All right, well, before we do the third poem, tell us a little bit about your poetic journey. And, you already talked a little bit about it, but kind of how you got into writing and into poetry. And then,
Yeah. Well, like I say on the post that I quite recently put up, it was in 2013, was doing a bit of freelance media writing, and I wasn't really making any money. It was just video game reviews. So I was getting like free copies of video games and stuff, which at the time, 18 years old, 19 years old, was great. But I stepped away from that because I needed income, really, and went sort of into the kitchens. And then after a few years, I started getting back into writing with fan fiction and writing my own guided meditations to help out with stress. So took another enforced break and then came back towards the end of 2024. And that was when I started working on the Tyrant's Justice, which is the medieval sort of low fantasy that I was working on. As I say, I was hitting this wall where I just couldn't drive the story forward. And I thought to myself, we'll try some writing exercises to try and break that writer's block. And poetry was one that really helped. Slowly, after a few months of writing poetry, I started building a collection. And I thought, I'll share one or two. And I shared one or two, and the feedback was really great. And I thought, oh, hang on, I'm actually starting to really like writing poetry. The feedback's good. So I started doing it sort of as like a little side hobby with writing, really. Before you know it, fast forward 18 months, and I mean, I've got an anthology coming out where I'm writing with 12 other poets, some great poets in there. Natalie Genova, Eric Walton, PK Mars, who's also got a novel of his own out, Mr. Lights, and it's just been more of a collective than a random collaboration. And it's helped me sort of come out my shell as a writer. So poetry's, like I said, it's ended up kind of taking more of a forefront for me, opposed to that novel writing. I'm still plugging away on the novels, something that I keep telling myself I have to go back and do. I'm currently stuck at 30,000 words. So yeah, but I mean, that's pretty much all there is to tell. It was pretty much like a side hobby that just snowballed, really.
all right, do you know when that anthology of poets is coming out?
Natalie Genova is the one that is actually heading the collaboration. It's with her at the moment. It's on the cusp of being released. So I imagine it's any minute now. I know it's literally with edit and finalization stage. So,
Okay.
and that's sort of where I know where we're at.
Yeah, well, when that comes out, definitely let us know, and we'll help you guys get that out there and
Yeah,
get
we'll
the word out
promote
there
it.
for that. We'll help promote it.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate that.
Okay, got another one for us.
Yep, and this one is titled When I Go Out, which is just sort of an introspective nod on feelings about later life. When I go out, I don't want a bang, a crash, a wallop, no gong. In fact, I'd likely be far more content with a whisper of sonnet or song. Don't mourn me with a single tear. Don't cry me a river to boot. Light me a pyre, a ravishing fire, and smile as you breathe in the suit. Don't hang my picture on your wall. It's not where I wish to reside. I prefer the hush of the attic, you see, the one place I'd prefer to hide. Loris Loren.
All right, thank you. Really like that one.
You're good. Love the rhyming. It's not forced rhyme. Sometimes somebody will write a poem trying to rhyme it, and they force the rhyme, words just to make it rhyme. and yours weren't forced. I like that. It just flowed.
Thank you.
Yeah, really good flow. And I love that line, that end of that first stanza, you'd likely be far more content with a whisper of sonnet or song.
Yeah.
I really like that line.
Yeah, I feel like this just come from a place so personal. I thought I've had a lot of friends pass away from various reasons and all quite young. And I've watched the revelry and the remembrance, sort of memorials and stuff of their deaths. And I thought to myself, do I want to go out like this? Do I want to be remembered like this? I'd like to just pass slowly into obscurity, quite silently, and leave something like my writing behind, just in an attic somewhere, just to be discovered by somebody.
So you'd prefer to go gentle into that dark night.
Yes.
Unlike Dylan Thomas.
Like a true poet.
Yeah.
Right? Go out like a poet.
Yep, that's
Right.
exactly right.
Yeah, well done on that one, though.
Yeah, I like that one. Good poetry.
Thank you.
All right, well, before we move on, is there anything else you would like to say about poetry or your poetic journey?
Not off the top of my head, no. I think we've covered pretty much everything in there.
Okay, not a problem. Well, we have a little bit of feedback for this episode. This is feedback from YouTube that's about episode 46 with Brandon Adam Haven. These first few comments are from Lamotra M, and I apologize if I'm saying that wrong. It's LA_MORT-RE_EM on YouTube. They say, I've seen a few of Brandon's readings. He is a phenomenal orator and an otherworldly poet. Ethereal Sunset is such a vivid expression of soul, and I quite agree. An old world poet is what's conjured when listening to this. I am incredibly happy your writing held you above water, Brandon. The Merciful Night is such a classical weave of sorrow and unbelonging. Absolutely incredible right, and the telling was sublime. Wow, Ashes in the Wind grips the listener in such a gothic spinning of emotions and imagery. Beautiful. So thank you there. And then Clay Bacon 4 wrote, the poems Ashes in the Wind and The Merciful Night are some of the most chilling poems I've heard in recent memory. This poet, Brandon Adam Haven, definitely has impeccable talent. I will definitely be checking out his books. And then Juniverse Center for Healing 2505 wrote, loved the show. It has a good pace with variety, yet well integrated. Bravo. Well done. Very inspiring. So thank you guys for all of your feedback. And it was definitely a great episode having Brandon on.
Yeah, I love getting feedback like that. I love getting feedback, you know.
It's all good.
Yeah. So far, it's all been good, positive feedback.
Yeah, there's been a couple critiques about like our intro music or things like that.
I remember Alex critic.
Yeah.
You're going to find that everywhere. To be fair, there's always going to be at least one.
Hey, everybody's got their different tastes.
That's it.
All right, well, as we wrap things up, we want to let our listeners know we are grateful that you've taken the time to tune in. We hope you're enjoying the poetry shared here, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast and share it with others. If you would like to support You're the Poet and what we are doing here, we have set up a Patreon site at buymeacoffee.com/you'rethepoet. Thank you for your support as we continue to grow. After some feedback and questions about You're the Poet merchandise, we have set up an online store where fans of the podcast can grab some merch, including hats, mugs, t-shirts, and a coaster. You can find a link on our website, podcast, and social media pages, or directly at your-the-poet.printify.me. Help support the podcast and share your love of poetry with the world. If you've written any poetry and you want to share it here, whether you just have an interest in poetry, consider yourself an amateur poet, or are a professional poet with published works, contact us to be a guest on a future episode. Please check out our website and various social media outlets to keep up to date with You're the Poet. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and our website, you'rethepoet.com. Until next time, Phil, thanks for joining us.
Anytime. Loris, good meeting you.
Thank you, and you. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you guys. Goodbye.